Good morning, everyone. Yes, students, our today's topic is one of the most important topic, which must be in the knowledge of all advocates, all judges, and even the parties also who are coming to the court. Now, we will discuss what is temporary injunction, what is a stay order. You may not open your book, you may not write anything. Firstly, understand, I will dictate each and everything to you. Firstly, it must be born in your mind that what is a temporary injunction, what is stay order, what is a perpetual injunction, what is mandatory injunction, how it is passed, in which circumstances it is passed. Yes, students, whenever a civil suit is filed for seeking some decree for restraining the defendant from committing some mistake, from dispossessing the plaintiff, or from causing some loss to the property, or from causing some injury to the plaintiff. Now, in such suits, all of us are well aware that it may take 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. But if in the meantime the defendant does something wrong, he causes some injury to the plaintiff, or he dispossesses the plaintiff, or he damages the property, or he does some act where irreparable loss may be caused, which cannot be adequately compensated in terms of money. Now, in those cases, what should be done? Now, temporary injunction can be issued. We are well familiar with stay order. That court has granted the stay order. Now, stay order can be granted in which circumstances? You have to understand today. I will dictate each and everything. Order 39 is dealing with not only this, various provisions of specific relief act, section 36, 37, 38, 39, all these sections, they are dealing with injunctions, temporary injunction, perpetual injunction. Now there is a mandatory injunction also. Now firstly, we will take the temporary injunction, and I will refresh your memory that we have read in section 94 earlier, that in which circumstances injunction can be granted. Because order 39, whenever any application is filed for seeking a temporary injunction, that is filed under order 39. Now, order 39 has been created on the basis of section 94. Now, what this section 94 say? It says that in order to prevent ends of justice from being defeated, temporary injunction can be granted. Oh, yes, this is what bring next. Make such arrangement so that I may also come bring here from here instead of here. Here it is the point, or I should go there. All right, all right, all right. Yes, students. Now this concept can be well understood only if I give a large number of examples. Because whenever students hears me, just like a story that can never be forgotten during future life, it will always be in your mind. Now let us see that in which circumstances temporary injunction stay order can be granted to the plaintiff. One thing is certain, that stay can be granted only and only if a civil suit has been filed. If civil suit has not been filed, we cannot grant any stay. That is very essential condition. Let us see one example. Now X, he was owner of, let us see, he was owner of house number 18. You may not waste time in writing because I will speedily tell you. Therefore, don't, I will dictate you each and everything. Now, it was in urban state phase 2. Now, he gave this house on rent to Y. Let us see from 1st January 2001. And Y has been in possession of the property for the last many years. And X sold that house to Z on 1st January 2021 after 20 years. Now Z wants to get this house vacated from this Y because he does not want to keep him as a tenant. Now Z has threatened Y that you vacate the property within 3 days. Otherwise, he will forcibly remove his luggage from his house because he has become the owner. Now, in a urban area, East Punjab Urban Rent Restriction Act 1949 is applicable. And under that act, Z cannot get that property in this way. Now, this Y, he has filed a civil suit against Z. Now, Y has sought from the court stay order, permanent injunction, restraining Z from dispossessing him. Now, this is the application. This is the civil suit. Firstly, permanent injunction. Now, when a civil suit has been filed seeking permanent injunction, then an application can also be filed along with that suit under Order 39, Rule 1 and 2, read with Section 151 of CPC, because the civil court is fully empowered under Order 39, Rule 1 and 2, and under Section 151 to pass any order for issuing temporary injunction, for issuing temporary stay. Now, in this case, Y has made a prayer on the first day when the civil suit was filed. Let us see that civil suit has been filed on 1st March 2021. On this very day, on first day, Y has made a prayer to the court through this application for granting temporary injunction that he should be restrained today itself, pass one order so that he may not dispossess, because once he has dispossessed, then it will cause irreparable loss to him, and that cannot be adequately compensated in terms of money. Now, in that case, he is making a prayer. Now, there is a prima facie case. When we say that there is a prima facie case, mean that Y has shown the record, telephone bill, his ration card, his, say, Aadhaar card, or each and everything. He is having a large number of letters which were received by him at this address. Now, which shows that prima facie case is in favor of this Y. And the main purpose of granting stay, main purpose of granting injunction will be defeated if we cause delay of even one day. Now, therefore, on the first day, the court will look into that if today itself Z is not prevented from dispossessing Y, then it will cause irreparable loss. Z may remove his luggage, then it will be a great problem for Y, where Y will go. Now, in such a situation, the court can grant temporary injunction restraining Z from dispossessing Y. Now, this order will be called ex parte injunction order. Once ex parte injunction order is passed, then the why the plaintiff is required to convey to the defendant all the documents, plaint along with documents and application under order 39 rule 1 and 2, so that defendant must know that what is being discussed by the court against him. Now, this is how temporary injunction can be granted. Now, temporary injunction can be granted if the property of the plaintiff is in danger of being wasted, damaged, being alienated, being transferred. Now, in those cases, in order to protect the plaintiff, the stay order is granted on first day. Now, with this, let us see, we will discuss the second example also, so that we may touch this temporary injunction from all the angles. X is owner of the property. Let us see, he is owner of 10 acres of land. Now, he made an agreement with Y on 1st January 2007 to sell this land for rupees 50 lakh. And on that day, this Y, he has paid rupees 10 lakh as earnest money. And in the agreement, it was written that on 1st July 2007, a remaining consideration of rupees 40 lakh will be paid by Y to X. And on that day, X will execute the sale deed. Now, this agreement was signed by both the parties. But on this day, this X did not sell, did not execute the decree. Now we will take from other angle, that on 1st March 2007, X has made some settlement with A in between, before this date. Now X has made the settlement with A that he will sell this land to A for rupees 60 lakh. And they have fixed the date that they will get the sale deed executed directly without entering into any agreement on this date. Now it means X, he made an agreement to execute the sale deed in favor of Y on 1st July, but prior to that, he is going to dispose of the property. Now, it will definitely cause loss to this Y who has already paid 10 lakh rupees. Now, Y will file a civil suit here. Y will file a civil suit against X that he should be restrained from selling his property to anybody else because he had already agreed to sell this property to Y, and he has already received rupees 10 lakh. Now Y will attach copy of agreement with the plaint. Now here he will also move an application under order 39 rule 1 and 2 that today itself some order should be passed restraining this X from selling this property to anybody else. Because if delay is caused in summoning the defendant, then the main purpose of granting stay, temporary stay, will be defeated. Therefore, on the basis of his application, the court will pass again ex parte injunction on the first day, and it will restrain Y from selling the property because he has already agreed. Now it means, firstly, we discussed one proposition where the defendant was restrained from dispossessing. Now here, X has been restrained from selling the property. Therefore, the defendant can be restrained from alienating or selling the property or from dispossessing the. Now let us see one very important point. We are talking about plaintiff with regard to temporary injunction. Question is whether defendant can also make a prayer that he should be granted some injunction. Now that will be very interesting point, that in which, now this question may be asked from you in the main examination, that in which circumstances you will grant the similar stay order, similar temporary injunction to the defendant. Now let us discuss that proposition, that in which circumstances. No, A was owner of a house and B took the possession of house on 1st January 1991, and A did not raise any objection. As per section 27 of Limitation Act, if the owner does not raise any objection in such a situation, then he loses his right to that property. Now here, what A has done, A has filed a civil suit against B for taking possession of this his property on 1st January 2004 after the lapse of 12 years. Once a person has been coming in possession of a property without any document for the last more than 12 years, then the owner of the property loses his all rights. Rather, in such a situation, B acquires all the rights. Now, A has filed a civil suit for taking possession of the house from B. Now, B has come to the court and he filed written statement, and he filed counterclaim also that he should be declared to be the owner of, and he moved an application that till this case is decided, A should be restrained from touching his possession because he has been legally in possession for the last 12 years because nobody has raised any question to his possession. Maybe now his title has been perfected by adverse possession, because adverse possession, we are talking about this section at appropriate time. We will discuss this section also in detail. The condition is 12 years. Now, in this case, we will make a prayer to the court that, sir, today itself restrain him. He is standing in the court. Otherwise, if he dispossess him, then it will be causing irreparable loss. Where he will go, where he should shift, because he has been settling down in that house for the last many years. Now he has produced all record that he is having ration card, he is having Aadhaar card also, he is having gas connection also, he is having electricity connection also. He had received a large number of letters at that address. Now that will show, that will raise the presumption that B is having a prima facie case. When I call that somebody is having a prima facie case, it means at the glance we can look on the papers and can determine that in this, according to documents, B, he has been in possession. Once the court is of the opinion, then we say he is having a prima facie case. Now, therefore, first case we have discussed with regard to that defendant will be restrained from dispossessing. Then second, defendant may be restrained from selling. Now here, plaintiff may be restrained from dispossessing this defendant. Now it is how we can pass an order, the court can issue. Now we are well familiar. Once stay is granted at this stage, we can call well begun is half done. Advocate is also happy, party is also happy. No, the case may take 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year. They are not worried because they are having that injunction. But so far as the ex parte injunction is concerned, I'm going to discuss that also in later portion, that how we will pass the order after hearing defendant also. Yes, students, now I will come to next very interesting situation where sometime the court may think that here justice must be done immediately. Now let us see. Bring that. Now this A, she is a lady having 3 children. Now she has filed a civil suit against B. Now B is a rich person. He had given one house on rent to A. But A was threatened by B that he will remove her luggage from the house. He should vacate. Now, in this case, the children are very small. She is widow, her husband had already expired. She herself has come to the court along with small children. And she made a prayer to the court, sir, if B, he dispossesses her from the property, then where she will take these children? And on the first day, now no doubt A has produced all the record. On the first day, the court granted stay order. The court restrained the defendant from dispossessing him illegally, forcibly. Now, in this case, notice was given to B. Now, when B has come to the court, he disclosed to the court in a written statement, sir, this lady, she has not made the payment of rent for the last 3 years. Not even a single pie. And B had already filed a ejectment petition in the court before the rent controller, and rent controller has already passed ejectment order. Now defendant has attached with the written statement ejectment order that she has already been directed to vacate the property. Now in this case, A has obtained the order by making misrepresentation to the court. Now, when a misrepresentation has been made, and B has pointed out all these things to the court, then in such circumstances, court is having vast power to revoke, to take that order back, to revoke that order on the base ground that this order was obtained by misleading the court, by misrepresenting the facts. Now, with regard to temporary injunctions under Order 39, the court is having vast power. Although order after hearing both the parties is appealable, but still the court is having power to alter that order, to change that order, to revoke that order, because this is the discretionary power of the court. Now let us see one more example where injury may be caused. Now let us see, A is having a house in locality and he installed a chemical factory in his house which is emitting foul smell and flowing chemical water, and it is causing bad effect on health of all the residents. And B, who is adjacent to A, he is being affected adversely. Now B has filed a civil suit against A for getting permanent injection, perpetual injection. Permanent and perpetual, one and the same thing. Therefore, don't be confused. Now he has made a prayer for issuing, for passing a decree for perpetual injunction or restraining A from emitting this foul smell by operating the chemical factory. And he has made a prayer that A should be restrained from operating such a factory in the residential area. Now, in that case, B may make a prayer that he should be restrained on the first day because the foul smell and chemical water is affecting the health of old age persons and it can cause irreparable loss. Now, the court may grant temporary injection or on the first day. Now, it is entire discretion of the court. If the court is convinced that on the first day itself the stay must be granted, otherwise delay in granting the stay may defeat the main purpose of granting that stay order. Now, if it is of the opinion that no, first of all, let us see the case of defendant. Let us see the side of defendant, what the defendant wants to say. Then it may not grant ex parte stay. It means if on the first day temporary injunction is granted, we will call it is ex parte stay order. But ex parte stay order is not a final order. The court is required to give notice to the defendant, like that which we have discussed, the defendant has pointed out. Otherwise, court will not know that that lady along with children there. It is on the face of it. Every judge will pass an order that she should be protected from being ejected from the property. But whether she is misrepresenting, now it is the defendant only who can bring those things in. Now, here also, in other words, we can say, earlier we were discussing with regard to property. Now, here, if some injury is caused, in that case also, a stay order can be granted. Let us see one more example with regard to injury. Now, X is a doctor and Y is a patient. Now, this doctor has examined Y and has come to know that Y is suffering from some infectious disease, which is a dangerous one. Now, X threatened Y that he will publish in the newspaper that you are suffering from this disease. Now, X has demanded some money from Y. Now, if this publication is made, Y is a girl, she is to get herself married also, she is unmarried. Now, if X succeeded in publishing, then irreparable loss will be caused, her reputation will be spoiled, and her reputation will be injured. Now, in that case also, if Y filed a civil suit against X, that X should be restrained from publishing this secret knowledge in the public, then certainly the court will pass on the first day that order restraining X from publishing that to newspaper, whatever may be. No doubt, criminal action, she can make the criminal complaint. Now we are concerned with temporary injunction, that how temporary injunction can be issued. Now let us see, one question will arise that if some judgment is passed in a civil suit for seeking permanent injunction, and thereafter if the defendant is going to cause some loss, whether a new suit has to be filed or simple application will serve the purpose under Order 39. Now here, let me explain you very important point which you must keep in mind. Now let us see, A filed a civil suit against B, who is owner of house, for specific performance. Now, in fact, there was a case of specific performance. Both have agreed to. Now, A has agreed to purchase the house, B has agreed to sell the house. Now, before the date when this property was to be sold, sale deed was to be executed. Now, this owner, he is going to sell the property to C, and A obtained an order from court against B, a decree for permanent injunction, restraining B from selling the property. Now, this order is with this A, who is a purchaser. Now, in such a situation, in order to cause loss to A, B is going to waste the property. He is going to demolish the property. Now here, decree is there in favor of this A. Question is whether A will file another suit for restraining B from demolishing the property, from damaging the property. There is no need to file new suit. Now A will simply file an application under Order 39, Rule 2, that B should be restrained from wasting or from damaging this property because agreement to sell is there in his favor. Now all this is being done before that date of sale deed, when the sale deed is to be executed. Now let us see with regard to money suit, whether in money suit also we can grant stay order. Now let us see here. X has filed a civil suit against Y for recovering rupees 20 lakh. Now Y is having 2 acres of land. Now in order to defeat the rights of X, Y is going to sell these 2 acres of land to somebody else. Now if he sells the property, then certainly loss will be caused to X. How he will recover the property? How he will recover the money? Suppose in this case, if a decree has been passed in favor of X for rupees 20 lakh and Y sells this property, then it will be difficult for recovering this amount. We have already discussed in order 21 that how a decree holder will face various problems. Now, in that case, in case X has moved an application that Y be restrained from selling his property, from mortgaging his property, from gifting his property, like that, because now there is a prima facie case. X has produced before the court promissory note that this is a promissory note through which he has taken rupees 20 lakh. Now in that case also, Y will be restrained from selling his property during the pendency of this case. When temporary injunction is passed, a temporary injunction is not valid permanently. The word temporary itself means it is issued for some period. No doubt, it cannot be effected beyond the date of decree. Till the passing of a decree, that order may be valid. It may be treated to be valid, but not beyond the date of judgment, because in judgment itself, the court may confirm that order, court may reject that order, court may pass any order. Now, in this case, no doubt, Y can be restrained from selling the property. But in addition to that, his property can also be attached under Order 38, attachment of the property before judgment. Now here judgment has not been passed, but before judgment, his property can be attached so that he may not sell that property to anybody else for the purpose of protecting the rights of this creditor. Yes, students, now another very important concept is there. Now, X filed a civil suit against Y, his real brother, for declaration that he is owner to the extent of 1/2 share of, let us see, joint house and 10 plots. And this property is in possession of Y. Y is having the possession. Now, during the pendency of the case, Y wants to sell his share, but X has already obtained temporary injunction restraining Y from selling the property during the pendency of the case. Now the court has passed an order that Y is restrained from selling this property so that the court may properly decide who is entitled to that property. Now Y has been restrained. Now X admits that Y is having half share. But the court has passed an order that Y is restrained from selling the property. Now Y wants to sell his share. What is his remedy? What is remedy? He will move an application to the court for altering the order, that he should be allowed at least to sell his half share in the property. Suppose if he sells specific portion, let us see, he sells 10 rooms particularly of this house, and he sold specific 5 plots. Now this sale will be sale of share, not sale of specific property. If he has sold 10 rooms, it does not mean, let us see, if he has sold 10 rooms to A, we cannot say that A has become owner of these specific 10 rooms, but he will be owner to the extent of half share. Now this question had arisen before our own High Court in full bench, very important authority, Parturam versus Ramswarup, 1981, PLJ 2004. Now, Honorable High Court has held in this case that if a co-share sells specific portion, then it does not mean that the purchaser will become owner of specific portion. Purchaser, what the purchaser has purchased, whatever the seller is having his right. Now, his right is being sold. What is his right? His right is only to the extent of half share. Therefore, he can sell his right to the extent of half share, not more than that. Yes, this was relating to share. Let us see what is the mandatory injunction. Mandatory injunction broadly. Now, there are preventive actions we can call preventive relief. Now, preventive relief can be obtained by temporary injunction or permanent injunction. Now, mandatory injunction mean if we are giving direction to someone to do something. Now, temporary injunction, preventive injunction mean we are preventing one person from doing something. But here we are directing someone to do something, that is mandatory injunction. Now let us see one example, then you will be very clear. Now A has filed a civil suit against B, who is his neighbor. Here A is residing, here B is residing. Now this is a common wall. Now B has demolished some portion of common wall. Now A has filed a civil suit against B for seeking permanent injunction, restraining B from demolishing this wall, because he is planning to demolish. Once the common wall is demolished, you are well aware that what would be the condition of that roof, it will fall. Now he has sought permanent injunction against B, restraining B from demolishing common wall. And he has sought mandatory injunction also, that B should be directed to repair this portion which he has demolished. Now therefore, in one suit, the plaintiff can seek temporary injunction or permanent injunction, which will be in preventive relief. And the plaintiff can seek mandatory injunction also, that let the defendant be directed to do this particular thing. I hope all of you are clear with regard to mandatory and temporary injunctions. Now, with regard to temporary injunction, we are to keep in mind the principle. Bring those principles, very important principles, which must be kept in mind. You may not write anything. I will dictate each and everything. First of all, understand that which are the principles. There are three very important principles. Firstly, there must be a prima facie case in favor of the applicant. Applicant may be plaintiff or he may be defendant. We have already discussed. When we say prima facie case is there, court must be convinced from the documents only. We will not take any evidence. Affidavit will be there of the applicant. Applicant through affidavit will prove that, look here, sir, the case is in his favor. Once we say that prima facie case is in favor of plaintiff, that will not suffice. Then we are to see whether some irreparable loss is going to be caused. Then whether there is a balance of convenience, in whose favor balance of convenience lies. Now we have seen in certain circumstances where tenant was in possession and defendant was the owner, defendant was restrained. Now in that case, we will say that if a defendant dispossesses the plaintiff, then irreparable loss will be caused, because this plaintiff, where he will go, his property may be spoiled when it is thrown out of the house. Therefore, irreparable loss will be caused to him. Now, balance of convenience. What is balance of convenience? Balance of convenience, we will decide there that if a stay is not granted, whether the plaintiff will suffer irreparable loss. If the answer is yes, we will say balance of convenience lies in favor of the applicant. If we are of the opinion that no irreparable loss is going to be caused to the plaintiff, then we will say balance of convenience is not in favor of applicant. Now, if we are to decide that thing also, that if we grant stay, whether some irreparable loss is going to be caused to the defendant. If our answer is the defendant will remain the owner, either we grant the stay or not, we are not changing his ownership. Therefore, we will say that no irreparable loss is going to be caused to defendant. Therefore, balance of convenience does not lie in favor of the defendant. It will lie in favor of the plaintiff. Come to other examples. Now let us see here specific relief act also. We will touch the provisions of specific relief act which we have prepared in PPT. Certain points, section 36, 37, 38, 39. You must know that also, that where this temporary injunction, permanent injunction, mandatory injunction have been provided. Simply we will touch that. No doubt, whenever the term of specific relief act will be there, we will touch those topics. Now here, in fact, specific relief act is dealing with perpetual injunction, preventive relief. Now section 36 says preventive relief can be granted by way of temporary injunction or perpetual injunction. Now temporary injunction, if the court is of the opinion that a temporary injunction is to be granted, then all the procedure will be regulated as per order 39. But if the court is of the opinion at the end that perpetual injunction is required to be passed, then it is passed under section 37, subsection 2, because only decree through a decree. In other words, we can say temporary injunction can be passed by an order under Order 39, but perpetual injunction can be passed only by a decree under Section 37, subsection 2. Now, Section 38 will describe under which this perpetual injunction can be issued or what are the circumstances. 39 section is dealing with the mandatory injunctions. Yes, students, whenever ex parte stay order is granted, now I hope all the students are very clear that what is ex parte stay order, what is ex parte injunction. If ex parte injunction is passed, then it is the duty of the court. Court must make efforts to dispose of the stay application, dispose of the application seeking temporary injunction within 30 days, because otherwise it will cause loss to the, it may cause loss to the defendant also. Just like we have seen that a lady has obtained the ex parte injunction, making a misrepresentation. If we continue that stay order, the owner will be facing lot of problems, who had fought the case before rent controller also, who had obtained ejectment order also. That is why it is the duty of the court to make efforts to dispose of such application within a period of 30 days. Now, very interesting situation. I will refresh your memory also. Now, you are knowing that we have already discussed caveat under section 148A. Now, in that case, where the lady, along with 3 children, she has obtained some order. If in that case, the owner had filed an application under section 148A, that is a caveat. He has filed caveat. Whenever caveat is filed, then the court will not grant ex parte stay. Had he filed the application there, she would not have obtained the ex parte order by making misrepresentation. Because when caveat is there before the court, court cannot grant ex parte stay. Court will have to give notice of that suit to the defendant, and defendant will file a reply to that application under Order 39, Rule 1 and 2. Then the court will decide that application on merit, whether the plaintiff is entitled to such a relief or not. Now, I have already disclosed to you, sometimes this question may be asked, that temporary injunction may be obtained under which provisions? Now, they may write Order 39, Rule 1, second, Order 39, Rule 2, third, Section 51. They can give these options. Now, these are provisions in CPC which are empowering every civil judge, every civil court to grant temporary injunction if it is required. Therefore, don't forget that 151 is also there. Now, whatever orders will be passed granting temporary injunction, that is appealable. That is appealable under Order 43, read with Section 104 of CPC. All orders are appealable. Now here, one thing very important, which I have not discussed as yet. You might have heard many times that order of status quo has been passed. Status quo. Many times the court passes state order of status quo, that parties will maintain status quo. Now, status quo, whenever this order is passed, because sometime the court is also of the view that it will be better if we ask the parties to maintain status quo. For example, if there are various joint owners, we have discussed one example of two brothers who were joint owners. Now, there the court may have passed that order that both the parties are ordered to maintain status quo till the decision. It means status quo mean whatever they are doing earlier, they will do later on also the same thing during the pendency of the case. Now, this temporary injunction, it is valid for some period. Maybe the court may pass an order specifically 6 months, 1 year, or it may remain in order, remain in operation till the decision of the case, till passing of decree. Yes, students, now this was about temporary injunction, stay order granted under Order 39, Rule 1 and 2.